Oh, friends. My name is host Eric. I'm the host of Talking to Fed People. And today's anchor for your local Typology community news live stream version. So our top story today is people lying about Eric other places. People try to lie about Eric here around Talking to Fence People, but that never works for them. And the reason it never works for them is because when they try to lie to me directly, I say, "You're lying, you big liar, liar pants." And I win that discussion because they are. So, somebody like Bobby gets very frustrated with my channel because he keeps coming around with this stupid ass bullshit and I keep shoving it in his mouth, making him eat it, which he deserves. Bobby, you claim to be a Christian, but you are the least Christian person I've ever encountered. You spend all of your time shitting on everybody, starting fights, being ultra negative, having problems, politicizing things that aren't politicized, projecting your own issues with women onto every woman around, and generally being a complete douchebag. So, that's the truth. Sorry. Sneaking off to do it in the CJ stream is fine, good enough strategy. But you gotta remember something. I might end up actually watching something occasionally. And if I see it, I'm not gonna just let it slide. I'm gonna shove my foot up your ass where it belongs. So be smart, people of the world. Just don't lie at all. Or as little as you possibly can, and then you won't run afoul of Eric or other good people like me who don't put up with lies. I'm not the only good person in the world. You know, lots of good people object to lies. And sure, there are plenty of bad people in the world who don't object to lies or who try to portray it as something other than lying. Not me. I'm not guilty of that problem. I will call a spade a spade. No problem. Now, let's go on to other matters of typology news. Now that I've kicked Bobby in the nuts adequately for stupidity, Rachel and I watched this really good movie the other night. And I mean really good. I read some review for somebody who said, it's the best, possibly the only good message movie Hollywood has ever made. And I said, that is so right on the money. I have never encountered a message movie that's trying to teach me something or whatever, in which the Hollywood actors and producers and stuff had no business trying to teach me anything. Because they're so full of shit. Not this movie. This movie's called Sullivan's Travels. And its core message is Hollywood people need to stop trying to think they know about shit and do their job and make a funny comedy, you know. And it had possibly the most powerful scene in any movie I've ever seen. It was incredible. It's an old black and white movie. It's got, of all people in it, Veronica Lake, who's a famous old pin-up girl style starlet, you know. Cast a good type in this movie. Because in reality, she's usually cast as like an ice queen kind of lady. Apparently. And in this film, she plays this really sweet girl, you know? And sweet but disillusioned. And kind of an anime style. She attaches herself to this guy and basically says, "You're taking care of me now." Anyway, he's going to try to research his big commie social movement kind of movie he wants to make called "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" Which eventually they did make a movie called "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" But as he's going around researching poor people, he gets mugged, beat on the head, and mugged, and gets all he decides he's going to be a nice guy and go to all the bums and give them each $5 out of $1,000, and he's walking down Skid Row and tucking $5 bills into people's pockets until he gets mugged, and one of the hobos steals the rest of his $5, but then drops them on the train tracks and gets hit and killed by a train, which is like so perfect. It's like, okay, this is the unintended consequences if you just think with your fucking emotions, you know? Then he gets put in this hard labor camp where he's abused and mistreated, and it's very much like a Cool Hand Luke style labor camp. But he's got this one old timer who's Boba Fett, who's trying to help him to fit in, and he's all, "Now listen, if you behave yourself, you'll get to go to the picture show. That'd be nice." And so he behaves himself a little bit, and all the prisoners in a chain gang are marched into this all-black church. This is black and white movie, okay? So this is back in the day when black people in movies were portrayed as, "Oh yes sir, Mr. Sir." They're all shuck and jivey and stuff, you know. Not in this movie. This church full of black people, all of whom are dignified. I mean, if I look, I never look. There's a button that'll show me, like, list the people who've chatted or whatever, but I never look at it. I don't even know exactly where it is, but I know that it exists. Anyway, so all this church full of black people are all like dignified and stuff, and the preacher informs them, "Parishioners, tonight we will have joining us some people much less fortunate than ourselves, and let's clear the first couple of rows so that they can enjoy this movie too. And as they come in, let's sing them in." And then the whole church sings "Let My People Go." Oh my God, it is the most richly layered scene I've ever seen in film. It was amazing. You know, it's like, it was made in the 40s, it's black and white, and it so powerfully speaks of things that didn't even happen yet, right? It's like, okay, so I mean, it was just mind-blowing. It's called Sullivan's Travels. It's in the Criterion Collection, actually. I discovered after we watched it, but I found it by Googling best comedies. It was on this list of 100 best comedies of all time. And it's not particularly funny, but because, you know, humor doesn't age that well usually. You know, they also have on that list of best comedies of all time things like Charlie Chaplin movies and Buster Keaton movies and And those things aren't funny. I mean, come on. That kind of vaudevillian black and white humor did not age at all. It's ridiculous to call those things funny. But that movie, Sullivan's Travels, one of the smartest movies I've ever seen. And the prescience of it, it's like that whole front of the bus, back of the bus shit hadn't happened yet. And yet in this film, it anticipates it almost. It says like, if you're the disenfranchised people, and you encounter people more disenfranchised than you, instead of insisting they sit in the back, be polite, go out of your way to let them so sit in the front, you know? It's, wow, you know? Well, you know what was surprising to me? 34WZ? First of all, Club ENTP doesn't get to do what everybody else doesn't get to do. You don't get to be a different person online than in real life. Online is real life. If you're a dick here, you're a dick. That's it. If you're a liar here, you're a liar. That's it. There is no difference. You know? Most importantly, you guys, what I didn't realize, it's funny how he made a joke about me being bald. You know that fucker's wearing a wig? I put up the picture of him, except it's got a picture of his daughter in it, so I don't want to do that really, but I don't want to bother, like, blurring her out or something. But yeah, it's like, talk about a wrong frame of reference, right? 34WZ? It's like, you got to be the same person everywhere. If you're evil here, it still counts. If you're a liar online, you're still a liar. You're still a scumbag. It doesn't change anything. Being nice in real life, well, I mean, this is my real life. And yet he's lied about me, slandered me, shit on me, tried to fool me, reveled in being a backstabber. I mean, whatever he is in general, he's guilty of these particular crimes and deserves to be condemned for them without concern for the things he didn't do that are wrong. You know, it's like everybody has an infinite list of things they did that aren't bad, but we don't worry about those things. We condemn people for their bad behavior, and we condemn them with justice and truth and might behind us. So absolutely. Is Club ENTP a lying scumbag? Absolutely he is. Regardless of anything else. And there's no disputing that. He's such a liar that he wears a wig. Not like I do occasionally as a joke, but as a way to present himself as having hair. You know, he's balder than me. Being a nice guy doesn't excuse you from slandering and lying and being unbelievably stupid online. Sorry. It just doesn't. I doubt he's a nice guy. Nice guys don't react to the truth with such spite. You know? So I doubt he is a nice guy. But, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, he had some weird agenda. And most importantly, remember, he's a liar. And we shouldn't trust liars. He's a compulsive liar from what I can tell. Just lying left and right about everything. Well, sometimes honesty isn't nice, but ultimately honesty's always kind, not necessarily delivered in a kind fashion, right? Nobody it benefits from being told lies. Should those truths be padded for people so that they don't hurt as much? Yeah, I think they should. And am I always good at that? No. But it is necessarily the case that when you have somebody who's a lying scumbag, that you condemn him for being a lying scumbag, regardless of how well you know him outside of the world. Yeah, I mean, if he really does believe what he's saying, then that's sad, and he's pathetically delusional. I think it's much, much more likely that he's lying. Right. He's a real nice guy when behind bars, I swear. He just tends to kill people when not. Well, let's put it this way. Being honest and, saying everything that comes to your mind are different. Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, being honest it takes more than expressing honestly what you feel. Being honest requires you to check, right? To see if you are slandering somebody. It comes with a bit of a responsibility to check, maybe? So yeah, somebody email me pictures of him from Facebook standing with his daughter, and he's balder than I am. It's like, what an idiot. If you commit to having hair on YouTube, you gotta wear that thing all the time, every time you make a video. And you're trying to posture, it's like, I'm posturing as something I'm not, I'm positioning myself as something I'm not. It's like, that's just not me at all, and I don't like that. I shit on that all the time for good reason. It's like that. Be smart, say interesting things, don't be an idiot, and don't try to fake me out. I went in there and praised him for his full head of hair. He made a pretty funny joke about calling me Baldy if we ever met or something like that. At that point, if somebody tells me I've got a nice head of hair and I've got a wig on, I immediately would come clean. He'd say, oh, actually, this is a wig. This isn't my hair. I would say that immediately, right? How do you not say that? How do you not come clean? It's beyond me. It's just, you've got to be constitutionally very accustomed to lying. It's the only explanation. I could not come clean and have a clear conscience once that had occurred. I mean, it may seem like a minor point, but it's indicative of some larger pattern, right? You can't say at that point, he's just telling his true feelings and doesn't realize that it's bullshit, because I've got an example of something where he definitely did realize it was bullshit and ran with it. Amy's great. I don't have a problem with ESFPs. And I am not 100% sure this guy's an ESFP. Maybe he's ENFP. Could even be ENFJ. Although ESFP seems most likely. But I don't think the problem is that he's ESFP. I think the problem is that he's fucked up. Right? Like, you don't have to be a liar just because you're an ESFP. Hi, Dee Dee. DDX. I note that I have a persistent notification of you contacting me on WhatsApp about something that begins with, "I hope I'm not bothering you." But I have to open it to see what the rest of it says. And I haven't opened it and looked at it. I don't like WhatsApp is the problem. I every time I see WhatsApp, I go, "Ooh, you WhatsApp you. I don't like you." The only reason I even leave you on my phone is for DDX. I don't even read what she sends me. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I prefer. You're more likely to get a response from me by email for sure, or text. But you don't text because you're in a faraway land, and that would be too expensive or whatever. So you can't really text people across continents very easily without incurring some sort of charge or whatever. So I get why you don't text me, but I just don't like WhatsApp. It's such an intrusive app. WhatsApp is the Zoom of Google Meets. I mean, WhatsApp is the Zoom of what's it called? There's this like secret meeting app or conversation app, message app that is way better than WhatsApp. I still don't like it because it's still a separate message app from texting, which is fundamentally inefficient to me. But it's called Signal. Signal's better than WhatsApp. Not that I care about the encryption and the privacy and shit. It's just leaner. It also happens to be the most like super encrypted private one, but I don't care about that part. That's just for my paranoid friends. The only reason I have it is for my paranoid friends. So I get in Signal. I think Signal's international, maybe. I'm not really sure, but I've got paranoid friends who don't want to talk about drugs on regular text, so they make me get Signal. It's like nobody gives a fuck. But why doesn't Google make a messaging application? I mean, like SMS, text, I don't think they feel like they have anything to offer about it. Ha goes very meow here. The stream helps. Oh well, 5-5. I'm sorry you're having a meow time of Boba Fett. You seem to be in a meow period right now. Is there something I can do to catalyze a change? Something word-based, preferably. Is there words I could say to help catalyze a change in the positive regard for you? Would it help if I transubstantiated a bong rep, or is that just going to contribute to the problem? I don't like to sit through movies either, Dulles. I much prefer watching movies at home where I can stop it, partway through, meow it. Oh, thank you. Signal's endorsed by Elon Musk. That's another strike against it, but whatever. It's still a lot leaner than WhatsApp. Reversing the retrograde, that's good. Alright, so I'm going to transubstantiate this bong rip. No, not all around Boba Fett. No. This one is just for you. Okay? I'm transubstantiating this bong rip just for Boba Fett. Now, if the rest of you are jealous, well, that's part of why it's so special for Boba Fett, okay? And you're just going to have to eat that jealousy. You just have to eat it and chew it and say, I'm eating and chewing this for Boba Fett's sake, okay? Boba Fett, by the powers vested in me, by all licenses all the time, and in my capacity as the main guy at God's Big Heaven Church and the archpastor of the Yalorian Church, I hereby transubstantiate this bong rip from my lungs to your brain. Obviously, I can't feel any of the effects of that because they all went to Boba Fett said, but I'm thinking it was a pretty good rep. Okay, so I had a list of things I wanted to discuss this morning. That's why I called it. There really aren't any good stoner films. I mean, I kind of liked Friday. Eric, you were not allowed at school today because you didn't take the third Corona injection. You said, whatever, came back home and started my PC. Why would you take the third Corona injection? My daughter took all the boosters she could, did everything she could, okay? She just right now, like 2 days ago, got better from a bad case of COVID that lasted 15 days. Your ENFJ friend thinks I'm a poop face? Well, I am. I'm baby pig poop face. So he's right about that. He's able to see through the makeup, huh? It is true that if it weren't for Bradley, and his amazing work with his makeup, you would see underneath the makeup just a lumpy brown poo as for my face. You know, I don't very often watch comedy stuff that is political or topical that I think is at all good, okay? Normally I think that's just horrible. But I have to admit that I saw this thing, this SNL skit last night called He Lied? You didn't recognize my poop face? Oh. Well, I am a poop face. I mean, there's no disputing that. I mean, that's the thing. My daughter was COVID prevention nuts. She went crazy with the masks and the boosters and the distancing and everything. And she got it. She finally got it. Which is another one of those things that I said way back at the beginning. Isn't it the case, if all these things you're saying are true about this particular virus, that even if you successfully prevent its spread right now, that eventually those same people who avoided it are going to get it? Well, here you go. It's so ridiculous how right I was about COVID right from the beginning. It's crazy. Frederick August III. The way I know you're lying is that my ENFJ friend is sitting right next to me. You must feel really dumb now, huh? But yes, you lied. Well, maybe you're lying again. Now that you've admitted to one lie, maybe I'd be better served to trust Frederick August III. Have you considered that? In what way and sense were the vaccines verified to be effective? I don't know. No, this time I'm not lying. Oh, okay. I'm not lying this time is a funny sentence. Show Media says, there's only one Clint Eastwood film I ever really liked. I haven't seen them all, though. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Gran Torino was a very powerful film. I wouldn't watch it again. It was disturbing in certain ways, and it stuck with me way too long. Like, I still remember that film, start to finish. I saw it one time. I think I might have seen it in the theater when it came out. And it was a powerful fucking movie. In that movie, what do I think Clint Eastwood's character's MBTI type was? ISTP. I don't know which COVID variant I'm talking about. The reason Delilah knew she got COVID was because she's been testing herself all along. She's been testing herself. She's got stacks of self-tests. She tests herself like every week, sometimes, every time she starts to feel sick or whatever. Oh my God. It's a fantastic real film about a guy who's representative of a dead era, of a dead culture, who's lost all of the Americana that he grew up around, right? And he's surrounded by this community of, I forget what they're called. They're some kind of Asians. Anyway, they're some kind of weird kind of Asians. Like an unusual one. I mean, not weird, but like one you don't hear of. They're not Chinese, they're not Japanese, they're not Korean. I don't think she's a hypochondriac. I think she was just trying to be ultra vigilant and about COVID. So anyway, she was going to go to the, and this is another indication that she's T.I. Tool here. Anyway, let me go back to that Clint Eastwood thing. I'm getting off track. So what the movie's about is him recognizing the humanity of the other that has replaced everything he's known. And respecting that humanity and taking action to do something good for those people. I forget what they were called. It's set in like Fresno or something. Or Sacramento. And no, they weren't Korean. He's a Vietnam vet, I believe. But it could be Korean. It's not really specified. No, it's not the people he fought. It's not that neat and tidy. Okay, look, I regret saying some weird kind of Asian. Okay, I get that there are also like, um, like Thai people, and there are Cambodians, and there's a lot of different kind of Asian Pacific Islanders, right? But this was a kind I'd not heard of before. Okay, so just okay, so maybe it was Korea then. Okay, fine. Yeah, that would make more sense age wise. Because, my dad's still around, and I do have a sweater, it's true. I pulled this down from the shelf and I said, hey, look, it's a sweater. I do regret saying a weird kind of Asian. I just should have said a kind of Asian I'd never heard of before that movie, and I don't remember now. Yeah, Hero Land, that's what it boiled down to. The dynamic of the film is he starts out as a complete dick because America's dissolved from around him, from his perspective. Um, and he ends the film sacrificing hmself for the Hmongs. The Hmongs, okay, wherever that is. Anyway, so he ends up sacrificing them for those people because he comes to see them as people rather than the thing destroying America or whatever he thinks at first. I mean, it begins with the boy from the family trying to steal his Gran Torino. So the Hmong people are henceforth known as that weird kind of Asian. So I guess he did fight against them, maybe. I don't know. Well, it doesn't look like you listed Korea there, so I would say no, he didn't. So that's good. It's more subtle. Did I read your question? No. Can you repeat it, please? I didn't see it. Looks like chores are about to happen. Uh-oh. Chore time. Hope your Sunday and your Wi-Fi are keeping well. Which functions are primarily involved in hunting, collecting, fixing, posing, and tracking lists of wanted and obtained articulated figures? It's, I would say it's SI more than anything else. It's SI. Although it is the case that 8th slot SI will sometimes make lists. But 8th slot SI is more likely to make lists of, like, movies seen. Maybe try to rank them like that. But generally speaking, that kind of list making that you're talking about and archiving function, that's an archiving thing. Archiving is SI. It's almost always interesting in films when an asshole has to go against even worse assholes. Well, especially if the original asshole, redeems himself so completely. It's like, it's one of those rare movies where there's this very blunt Christ visual symbolism that I go, Okay, that's cool. That works. Yeah. Usually that shit doesn't work, but that works. It's just like in that movie I was talking about before, Sullivan's Travels. The hunting part. No, no, I'd still say that's SISE. Because the hunting part is knowing what you're looking for and then proceeding to get it. So you're still in the SISE department. It's following through on your plan. It's not being opportunistic when you spot that thing that wasn't on your list that you also realize is now that you want. That would be like either NI or FI. Do I have any eggy we could fry up? No, I'm not prepared for breakfast yet. What I have right now for breakfast, if I wanted to eat it, is leftover steak from last night that's over there. I could eat that. Well, when you're hunting for things on a list, like figurines, as he indicated, there is no waiting for the right time to shoot. Unless you're saying knowing what your expenditure limits are, in which case that's kind of a TE thing maybe. But it's not like hunting game because to some extent there may be plenty available for you to get at any moment of a given thing, and the extent to which you're, it's like you have a list of like, I want to collect all these figurines of this kind, but I'm missing some, right? Like that. That's what he's talking about. Like basically collecting stuff. And having a list of all the things that you want to get and then completing that and having your full collection. Just because I don't read a comment out loud or notice it doesn't mean there's any commentary on the quality of the comment at all. I tend to just look over there until it prompts me to say something, and then I start talking and look over here, and then I look over there again to see what's going on, and then I start talking. So just because I don't say anything about your comment, there's as much of a chance that I just didn't even see it as chose not to read it. What about like enjoying being in nature just in general, the sensation of swimming, flowers, climbing trees, etc.? That sounds like an SEFI combo to me. Yeah, like collectibles. I think that sounds like ISFP town, what you're talking about right there. It sounds like a conversation, a real life conversation with an ISFP on a date. So, what are you into? I like just being in nature in general. Oh, really? More specifically? I like swimming. Oh. What do you like about swimming? I like the feeling of swimming. What else do you like, ISFP girl? I like smelling flowers. Here, you want another margarita? Yeah, I do. So what's something crazy that you like to do that you wouldn't like to tell anybody? I like climbing trees. Oh, here, have another margarita. I don't know. I should probably ran out $100 is. Doesn't that sound like a total conversation with an ISFP girl? You're trying to bang. And be like, oh, that's interesting. Even though it obviously isn't. What type of apple do I like? I don't know. I guess the answer is Honeycrisp, actually. The answer is Honeycrisp. I'm wearing my underwear, so don't look at me. Okay, I'm gonna go put some pants on. Eric, how many languages do you speak? I speak Spanish alright. That's it. And English, you know. And I wouldn't... put it this way. If you stuck me in Mexico for 3 months, by the end of it, my Spanish would be pretty damn good. Cause it's rusty, but I used to speak Spanish pretty well. Thanks, Winston's mom. You're a real winner in the game of life. Do you remember how to win in the game of life? You've got to get a fancy house, a good job, a wife, and kids, I believe. If you played the old game of life. My roast is done. That's not a roast. Why would I be making a roast right now? You're being silly. It's a cup of coffee instead. Nobody wants tiger blood and hookers. Would I try a coffee enema? No. I drink coffee primarily because I like the taste of it when I make it properly. Right now we have the good kind of coffee creamer, and yes, it makes a difference. You gotta get Coffee Mate brand powdered creamer, and I put a lot of it in here. That's important as well. You like jazz apples? They're okay. Heavy cream seems like the best choice, but the true best choice is heavy powdered non-dairy creamer. Charlie Sheen single-handedly destroyed the word winning. Yeah, let me show you. Unfortunately, this is the biggest size it comes in. And what we see here is that it begins by lying to you, as these things often do. There are no 500 servings in here. There are maybe like 50 servings in here. It says 3/4 of a teaspoon. The fuck, 3/4 of a teaspoon. That's so dumb, Melting Zero. That kind of stuff is so dumb. Anyway, you gotta put like 3 or 4 heaping spoonfuls, a big spoonful's worth, 3 or 4 of those into this and mix it up. And so you gotta do it 2 at a time. You gotta put in so much that you can't put it all in at once. You have to put in 2, stir it, put in 2, stir it. What's dumb about a coffee enema, feeling great afterwards, and then drinking self-pressed juice to replenish vitamins? I mean, it's dumb because it's just like, why are you putting liquid up your butt? There's no reason to be putting liquid up your butt. Okay? If you are going to put liquid up your butt, yeah, there you go. Thank you, Ghost of You. That sums it up. That sums it up. Except for, well, the front hole could be considered an exit for babies, but it's a both direction door, I guess. It is fair to say that the front hole is a swinging door. In my study of orify, is that the plural of orifice? Probably not. It's probably orifices. But I think if it were orify. Okay, well that's true too, Melting Zero. Melting Zero has made a very stout and sound retort when he says, it might be dumb, but Eric, you're dumb too. Well, you got me there. You got me there. A mouth is a hole that goes both ways. That's another swinging door, yeah. But it's primarily, you think of it as an ingoing hole, because when you put things in there, they're not supposed to come back out. So, if you put food in your mouth, it's intended not to come back out of your mouth at any point. Like, did you notice this? I'm drinking this beverage and putting the liquid in my mouth. Now, where did it go? It's gone. I made it disappear. You can't see it anymore. It's in my stomach. I've hidden it away in here. Naturally, bubblegum is an exception. An exception that proves the rule, as they say. What's the point in learning Arabic or any language that's not English? So you can be fancy and talk about how many languages you speak. The more obscure the language, the fancier you are. So if you can speak Sanskrit, you're fancy. If you can speak Nepalese, you're very fancy. If you can speak Falkland Islanders, is that a language? They probably just speak English, huh? Like, what's the fanciest language you could speak? You could speak Icelandic or something. That'd probably be the fanciest. Now, I had a list of things I wanted to talk about this morning in my head. It's always hard to remember things from lists that I just don't write down, but just in my head. There was multiple topics I wanted to discuss. Oh, I don't know if any of you guys saw or heard, but Mindy got into kind of a serious accident last night. Did you guys hear? It's a pretty serious accident. I'll show you. We were making a video. I washed and cut her hair and stuff to help her look a little bit more presentable, but we were filming a video and Mindy got burned a little bit. Can't really see it in that. She's fine, but she has now a little bit of a scar, and that's okay. That's just now part of her story, you know. It's just part of her story. She's Mindy. She's gone through some things. She now has a little bit more of a rich story for us to understand. So, oh, and that brings me to what I really wanted to talk about. Now, she was watching Tiffany irresponsibly start a fire. She thought she was a safe distance away, but when I went to grab her to save her, I accidentally knocked her onto the fire. And, well, now Mindy's got a little bit more character to her. But I figured out what it is about the shorts. I figured it out. I had an aha moment, a moment of NI, when I was looking at things again, trying to find some kind of pattern. I figured it out. It's as simple as this. If there's a click-through threshold. So basically, you have to have a short that has a good thumb. You don't get to pick the thumb. The thing picks the thumb. And the thing picks the thumb from your initial couple of seconds. So you have to have the first thing in the video be a striking image of some kind. And the way that I've discovered that things draw people in, well, one thing that drew people in thumb-wise was when I had characters standing around this orange. Like almost all of those videos had a lot of meows. Okay? So some of the best videos though don't necessarily produce good thumbs. And so I've been unable to figure out why is it that so many of them don't even get a chance on the shorts feed. And why is it that some of them get all this attention, and what's going on here? Well, the bottom line is it's weighted heavily towards the thumb as to whether it gets a chance and how much of a chance it gets. Well, it's not that kind of project, Legends Fall. Although it may become that. But remember, it's it's a, and I've tested this now with 3 or 4 things, and I'm right. I got it. I figured it out. That's what it is. It's, you have to have a thumb with a click-through rate that crosses a certain threshold. If then it additionally has a watch time and a like ratio that are both high, it'll go on to the next level where it has, again, a click-through threshold. So thumbs are critically important. The one that I looked at before I started this, which is why I had them making the fire, right? Which is like, okay, I want some fire in my thumbnail, and that way people will click it. And in fact, it was over 1,500 views when I last looked at it. And each of the ones that I made with this in mind, including the test one, proved my point. I made a rather bad short by short standards as a test to test the hypothesis regarding this thumb thing by putting one of the characters in a close-up amongst all these shiny rocks, and sure enough, it got 200 some views, which is about what I expect for a test run of it, because it's got a good click-through rate, and then not succeeding beyond that because it's got a low like threshold, low like ratio. Well, I don't care about the threshold. I don't care about the algorithm here. But the thing is, it's not that I don't care about the algorithm, Ghost of Bume. It's that, no, Jake Force, this is the thing. We have to distinguish between long-form videos and shorts. Shorts are its own particular thing. Mindy's Club is a shorts channel. And you can upload thumbnails to shorts, and you can choose between thumbnails and shorts. But it doesn't affect what thumbnail the shorts feed shows. The shorts feed shows the automatic shorts feed thumbnail, no matter what you do. And in fact, YouTube's confirmed that that's going to continue to be the case. So the thing is, I don't even bother trying to talk about the algorithm for the long form videos because I feel like I understand it quite well. Like, I know which of my videos are going to be more successful or not. I know what I can do to make a video that gets a bunch of views. I can do it if I wanted to. And sometimes I do. Yeah, I sleep, but it's post-sleepy week now. So that means I've gotten enough sleep. I'm also not... Well, Bane Moynihan, this is, again, what people don't understand about being a shorts-only channel and being shorts feed dependent rather than viewer or sub dependent is it's a different kind of creature. It's fundamentally different. Now, I do have all the story arcs arced out into playlists which direct people to view them as long form videos. But that's not a good way to get views in the shorts feed. I mean, the thing is, there's no comparison. It's like structuring things on the shorts channel for sub service is you get a tiny fraction of the payoff that you do for optimizing for the shorts feed, which is not a subscriber driven thing, right? You will get subscribers if you get a lot of shorts feed views. There's no money in shorts. It's not monetizable. You can only monetize them as long-form videos. But you'll get 90% of your views from the shorts feed. No, that's the peacocks outside. They do sound like cats. The thing is, I get that everybody's got informed opinions about YouTube and so blah, 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 blah. The shorts feed is a different kind of creature, and Mindy's Club is exclusively a shorts channel. So, my studying of the shorts algorithm is revelatory because it's new and evolving, and I needed to figure out what was happening there. It was just totally arbitrary. and I finally figured it out. And I've proved it in several tests now. I'm curious how that Mindy's accident video is doing, because as I left, well, right, I am thinking long term. Heartbreak Kid. What people don't understand is there are two conflicting schools of video making here going on. To make things that are optimized for the short speed, you're better served to make one-off videos. If you're gonna do a video storyline, like I've been doing various story arcs in Mindy's Club, then you have to make sure that each of the shorts hits as a short independent of anything else. Otherwise, you're minimizing the amount of subs you get, not maximizing it. So, in other words, I don't need to completely change what I'm doing. I just need to optimize it for the short speed. And if I do that, I'll have good success. I could do that's a good idea, Boba Fett. I should make a 15-second or less. I mean, I've got an 8-second bumper for TWFP. Do about the same, for Mindy's Club. And make that a short with Mindy and the gang or somebody singing Miggity Miggity Meow. Well, Heartbreak Kid, it was creating a lot of subs. In other words, I got 300 subs in 1 month, which is pretty good. Not fantastic, but pretty damn good. Pretty hard to do. Then I had a spell where I'd make a block of like 48 hours worth of videos at 4-hour intervals or something, and not a single one of them would get on the short feed. And I had no idea why. Well, I figured out why. It's all about the first image in the short. It has to be compelling, so that it makes a good thumb. So I'm going to have to keep that in mind. And sometimes I'll be right and sometimes I'll be wrong about the success of a given thumbnail. The other thing is, it helps to have the character featured very up close. No, I made it shorter. I'm the only editor around here. I mean, the thing is, whatever you want to talk about Heartbreak Kid, whatever kind of video you're talking about, be it short, be it long, be it a actual short, be it TI deep, be it NI heavy quick, be it whatever, I've got plenty of examples of that kind of video. I've got plenty. It's just that I'm not exclusively that, right? The thing that that everybody needs to remember about talking with famous people before saying like Or maybe you should do more. No, it's that I've done it all. It's just that I'm not doing anything specifically and only, right? I have trouble being just one thing. In fact, it's impossible for me to be just one thing. So, that's what Mindy's Club is, though. Mindy's Club is just one thing. And I'm not going to allow myself to get sidetracked from that. Well, I don't want to change platforms either. I like YouTube. I'm settled into YouTube. I'm not going anywhere. Alright, Sunshine, I'll compliment you on something you can be proud of. You're difficult to compliment. Right on the nose. Right on the nose. No, it's not SI, it's actually good TE. I recognize the way that I work, the way I operate, that most of the stuff I need to do is going to be dumped into one umbrella, which is talking to famous people. That's the only way I can operate. And most importantly, that for me to successfully record videos and upload them, it's very easy to switch between accounts on YouTube. And it's a low amount of SE for me to do. It's sustainable. I'm all on the same platform. If you're asking me to do something that requires more SE, then it's probably not going to be sustainable. It's about knowing myself, you know? Ask and ye shall receive, Sunshine. I'm running out of weed. We're going to have to go to the weed store again today. I mean, only if you think being honest is limiting myself. It is true that by accepting certain things as true, you accept the limitations implicit. But it's not true that accepting limitations is internalizing the limiting belief. It's true that I will never be a horse jockey because, I mean, no, the answer is not do more. I could hardly do more, right? The answer is be more impactful if the question is, what do you want to change to be more successful or something? I have over 6,000 videos, Heartbreak Kid. You're guessing wrong, Esoteric. I don't need to do more. In just a month or something, I put up 300 some shorts for Mindy's Club. I created a whole channel that's chock full of content. I don't need to do more. I do more than anybody I know. Damn that YouTube! Update is picture! So that was one of the things on my list that I wanted to talk about. There were some other things on my list I wanted to talk about. Well, I am being patient. I think everybody assumes conventional success is higher on my list of priorities than it is. Although it's going up on my list. It's moving up. But I have a good plan for what I'm going to do there. And no, that's not the same love, Lou. No. But I already have my plan as to what I'm doing regarding that, which is putting together this class. And I've been in curriculum building mode, which means I've been thinking a lot about how to do the architecture when we're driving around and stuff, kind of lost in my head. It's kind of like writing a book. But easier. It's a lot easier than writing a book. What type would be more capable in predicting the future? Well, I don't know. Thank you, Sunshine. And that's what I am doing and will continue to be doing and what I'm working on and stuff. What was I saying? There's something else on my list of important things to talk about. Well, what I'd say is watch the video called Defensible Typology's Hello World, which kind of explains what I'm putting together and what I'll be implementing in May, which is I'm going to enable the members thing. I've been able to, and YouTube's been prompting me to turn on membership for a long time, but I didn't until now have a good sense of what I wanted to be available to members is not available to everybody else, you know. So because of that, I never turned it on. And now that I have an idea of what I'm going to put there, now I'm going to turn on members. Where did I get that from? I got that from something I saw recently. I wouldn't have used the expression except I saw somebody else use it in some context recently. Alright, about predicting the future. Well, like, in some ways, I'm very good at predicting the future. I'm just not very good at acting on my own predictions. So it's like, I definitely predicted that Bitcoin was going to blow up. I didn't think it was going to blow up as much as it did way back when. But that was based on me agreeing with my friend who told me about it. Similarly, agreeing with my friend, but for different reasons and kind of independently coming to the conclusion. I was a big proponent of buying gold right before it shot up before the Gulf War. No, I never act on my own shit. I don't know. I'm ssuartscire, I guess. Additionally, I predicted that the COVID fatality rates would be at least one order of magnitude smaller than that advertised in the initial reports. And as far as I can tell, I was the only person in the world saying this, which sounds insane. And sure enough, about 6 months later, all the media come out with that same result, you know. So I predicted that. Weeks before the media was floating the idea, I concluded that it was at least as likely that it was an accidental lab release as any kind of natural phenomenon. Probably more likely that we'll never know for sure, but that the smart bet, if we could know for sure, would be on accidental lab release. Weeks later, the media picked up this same notion, started floating the same notion. So am I good at predicting the future? Am I ahead of the curve? Yeah. But also I'm wrong sometimes. So I never anticipated that Ukraine might actually be winning this war against Russia, which it appears like they are, kind of. I that blows my mind. I had never anticipated that. Um, I predicted that there was no way Trump was going to win. There's no way Trump's going to win the election. That's ridiculous. Nobody's going to vote for that guy for real. I was totally wrong. So, the thing is, I keep track of both my hits and my misses. However, I'll tell you this. Regarding that fatality rate thing, I was extraordinarily confident about it, and for very good and very obvious reasons. And the fact that I was the only person in the world apparently saying this is stunning to me. Absolutely stunning. Because it was exceedingly obvious to anybody who thought about it for a second that if they're only testing the sickest people who get into the hospitals with the most dramatic symptoms because they've got so few tests available, that in fact the fatality rate was going to be at least an order of exponent greater in its initial reporting than it actually turned out to be. Anybody could see that, right? This was not some sort of genius insight by me. Anybody who's accustomed to evaluating the legitimacy of arguments and data, as I am, could see that. And yet, as far as I can tell, believe it or not, I was the only person in the world saying it. How is that? How did that happen? It didn't take a genius to see that. So, sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. I'm pretty good at predicting the future, and depending on my confidence level, is pretty consistent with how right or wrong I am. Like with Trump, I was like, no, he's not gonna win, is he? Like that's not that confident, really. Whereas with the fatality numbers, I was like, this is for sure. This is ridiculous. With Ukraine, it never even crossed my mind that they might have a chance of winning or holding their own for any length of time. I assumed Russia would just roll over them like yeah. I still think Russia's going to win the war, but right, exactly. Destroy everything for the impression you bring. Don't worry, everybody. I'm having another cup of coffee. Were you worried that I had forgotten to have another cup of coffee? Oh, you had nothing to worry about. Stir, stir, stir. Then another scoop. Stir, stir, stir. There. That looks perfect. So your properly creamered coffee should look like this. for those who want to know. It looks like frothy white goodness. Frothy white goodness. It's a good brand name for something gross. Bye, Jake Forrest. No, I would not say that SI recognizes patterns. It connects current experience to previous experience. That's not the same thing as recognizing a pattern. So, in fact, there's often no pattern at all. If I had a really bad experience at this one bar, and I have really shame-filled memories of a drunken getting kicked out or something, then every time I drive by that bar, I'm going to cringe a second as I recall that event. Because I've linked in my knowledge base that physical location with that bad experience. That's SI. Note the lack of pattern. In fact, if anything, you're remembering the instance that deviates from the pattern. You've been at or near that place many times. Every time I go near the Drinkers Hall of Fame, I have the same memory of stumbling out of there into the bright sunlight with Dave Porter just rolling drunk. And being like, It's just a brief vignette of an experience. And it happened 30 years ago, almost, probably. 28 years ago, I don't know. It happened that long ago. And yet, that particular memory of that particular spot in Arcadia is triggered literally every time I see the place, and has been ever since that day. Think about that. For 28 years now, every time I see that place, or go to the restaurant that we sometimes go to that's near that place, I remember that day. I remember that event. It wasn't a bad event, actually. It was like, I don't remember much about it, except that I just remember this very, like, imprinted scene of me walking under the bright sunlight in the middle of the afternoon, being very drunk. And that's about it, really. Just sort of this 3-second long clip or something. So the point is that that's kind of a crazy way to show SI and the weird power of it, right? That for 28 years, I've associated this one spot with the same memory, and it's been triggered every single time I've seen that place. And it will be forever. There's no way for me not to have that memory triggered. It's like the triggering of that memory reinforces the triggering of that memory. I may or may not give it very much attention once it's triggered. Probably if I do give it attention now, I'll think about it in terms of like, there's that SI again. The lack of reliable pattern recognition can be seen quite easily with NI polars who wrongly assume a universality to their very specific set of conditions. Well, I think you've got that kind of wrong, Bynum. I think what they do is they extrapolate out a universality from their very particular set of circumstances that ought not be extrapolated out. But that the other thing happens in the direction you're talking about. They take something that's got some universal explanation and make it particular. And the example is when my dad got a bridge toll ticket from Northern California that showed a picture of his license plate, even though he wasn't up there and his license plate was down here the whole time. He concluded that the neighbor boy who went to Berkeley, Cal Berkeley, must be responsible for it. Because after all, he's the only one who knows whom he knows in Northern California. So it must be him. This must be personal in some regard. In reality, of course, it's almost certain that it's a random thing. At some point when he was off on vacation, somebody's going along in these timeshare parking lots taking pictures of license plates and printing out possibly glossy license plate sized prints of them and putting them over their own license plate. Who knows what's happening? But the chances of it being this totally non-shady Chinese boy from next door who goes to University of California, Berkeley, the chances of him being in on this scheme are 0, right? But it's the only person my dad can think of, so it must be him. So, the example of the other direction of incorrectly extrapolating out shit is my dad had his phone actually hacked one time, and the computer hacked during this big identity theft thing that we successfully cut off at the pass, right? But now he thinks everything's an example of hacking. You know, he got hacked once, and now every time his phone's slow to load up, he's like, I got hacked. I'm like, okay, Dad. It's also like when I lived in Laverne and the chicken in the backyard got attacked by a dog from next door. It was a brand new dog. One of our fence slats would go like this, right? The bottom wasn't attached. You could push it up. And you can push it this way too, actually, I think. I'm not sure. No, I think it only pushed out this way. The dog must have pulled it back out this way to get back through. Anyway, the dog came through this thing and attacked one of our chickens. And we saved the chicken remarkably. Kimberly nursed this chicken back to life with so much more love than she ever showed me. It was ridiculous. But anyway, Kimberly's conclusion from this, after I had fixed that slat and nailed it shut, was that we need to prevent dog attacks now. So we can't let the chickens go out into the driveway because now they're more susceptible to dog attacks. And I pointed out, Kimberly, the dog didn't come from the street or down the driveway. The dog came from next door and I fixed that entry point. And she's like, yeah, but you never know, dogs now are a problem. So we need to put up a fence in the front to prevent dogs from getting in that way. I'm like, okay, that's crazy. But you know what? Then like 2 days later, I shit you not, I look up the driveway and there's a couple of little dogs walking right down the driveway. Yeah, it's local news. It's full of human interest stories. Today at the zoo, a baby seal was born. Isn't it cute? Tell us about this baby seal. Zoo worker.
Yes, this baby seal was the 17th seal born in captivity here this season. We've had a wonderfully robust mating season.
I see. And what do these eat?
Well, right now at this age, they still suckle from their mother's teat. And
And they do this underwater?
no, they go on land to do this. They are mammals after all.
Oh, they're mammals, right.
Yes, a lot of people think they're fish because they live in the water, but nope, they are mammals.
Fascinating stuff. Back to you, Barb.
Oh, that was adorable. Wasn't it, Steve?
It sure was, Barb. Let's go over now to Jacob for weather. All right, guys. Well, today we've got a storm front moving in from the west as this low pressure system we see here over the metropolitan area gradually starts moving to the north, but still sunk in, moving very slowly. As you see the 48-hour progression here, these clouds will cross over into the metropolitan area around midnight tonight, dropping at times substantial rain, but should be out of the area by late tomorrow morning. Back to you, Steve. That's basically what local news is, you know. Is it worth watching? No, but it's not offensive in any regard. It's pleasant. I'll tell you this. Here's some advice for anybody who's on a bad acid trip. Watch local news. You know? Watch local news. If you're having a bad acid trip and you watch local news, it's so ordinary that it'll calm you down. You know, there's nothing... There's nothing too concerning about it usually. Residents of Eastwood today took to the streets complaining about higher water prices. Our Pablo Sanchez was there on the scene to talk to the leader of the group. Hi, I'm here with Mary Williamson, who leads the group No Higher Water Prices, Please. Or, no, NWAP.
That's right, we pronounce it NWAP.
So tell me, what is the core message of NWAP?
We believe the water prices are high enough already, and that these greedy water people are raising the price of water on the people who can least afford it, elderly like myself, on a what do they call that? on a
What do they call that kind of income when you're old and you're getting like Social Security?
I'm getting Social Security. I have limited returns from investments. I'm on a MIA income.
God, I can't remember the word. Oh well. And now we turn to... What's your name, ma'am? Vanessa? Yes.
I'm a pensioner. I'm on a pension income.
Oh, now you turn to... So this lady, what's your name, ma'am? Vanessa? Oh, hi. Okay, Vanessa, so what's your position? Yeah, I think the water prices are too high. And they should be lower. And why is it you think this? Because it costs too much. And it should be lower. Okay, back to you, Steve. We've asked representatives of the water company to comment, and their spokesperson, Don, had this to say. You know, we totally sympathize with the residents here, but the fact is, with the farmers in Central California taking so much water, we're already losing money, and we need these higher prices just to stay afloat. No pun intended. Oh, okay. Great water joke there. Here's a cute story. For Christmas this year, zoo workers at the San Diego Zoo took fresh raw steaks, wrapped them in gift boxes for the lions and tigers at the San Diego Safari. Here we've got footage of them ripping open the boxes to get at those fresh, juicy steaks. Oh, look at them. They think it's Christmas. They think they're people. How to lower divorce rate among poor, raise minimum wage. People do not understand the economics of the minimum wage at all. Everyone's got an opinion about the minimum wage, but you need to study how things impact things economically. Yeah. No, but you know what? It is canon. It is Mindy's Club canon now. Mindy's undergone an accident. She's had her nose burned. But now she's gonna be a spokesperson for the disfigured. It was pretty dramatic. I felt a definite panic when Mindy fell in the fire. Me shouting, "Mindy!" is totally real. There's no acting there at all. That was not on purpose. Texas baseball player tackles runner. You know, I was very worried about Mindy. I, without a second thought, thrust my hand into the fire to grab her, you know. These kids here that we have, my bag of kids, as far as I'm concerned, well, they're mostly one of a kind, although I've got multiple instances of Brandon for some reason. But, it's like, I don't know what Mindy is. I got it used at the thrift store in a bag of mixed dolls and shit, right? I don't know if I'd be able to find another Mindy doll. I don't know if I'd be able to find another Tiffany. Tiffany came the way she came. That's after her shower, okay? Her hair's still wet, in fact. She's complaining because I made her go to bed with wet hair. But I said, well, you're a doll, so too bad. But yeah, these conversations occur between me and the kids. And yeah, I definitely felt like a treasured friend was in trouble when she fell into the fire. They're people to me, alright? They don't have to be real people to be people to me. I'd be super sad if she, like, died or something, you know? Or I lost her. Similar situation with your ESFJ relative. She wasn't sure if a particular dog was still alive and concluded the owner threw the dog off a bridge without any good cause. That's nuts. Yeah, that's anti-polar for you. Well, you know what? Um, it actually opens up a lot of storyline possibilities. You know, there's a lot of things I could do with that. Oh, Mindy's an ISTP actually. Maybe an ESTP. She's probably an ESTP. Tiffany's probably like. Tiffany might be an ISFP. Well, Mindy's faking it a lot of times. See, this is the thing people don't know, which is gradually be revealed, is Mindy's a lot smarter than she's playing off. Mindy's behind the whole thing. Every time Mindy's also kind of sociopathic. So it's like, Mindy just thinks it's funny to play along with Tiffany's stupidity so that other people don't have anybody sane on their side, you know. So, like, the perfect example of that is the episode where Kevin, Tiffany's, when Kevin, Tiffany's horse, so to speak, says his name is Randall. I already have a name. It's Tiffany says, I've got a name for you, horse. And Kevin says, I already have a name. It's Randall. And Tiffany says, you sure do have a name. It's Kevin. And then Mindy says, isn't that great, Kevin? Now you no longer have to put up with her calling you horse. That's the perfect example of Mindy's sociopathy, right? It's like Mindy knows full well I don't think I shortened the latency. I think YouTube does that for whatever reasons it does that. Mindy knows full well the guy's name is Randall. And that his complaint is not that she keeps calling him horse, but that his name is Randall and she's not calling him Randall, right? But she chooses to interpret it such that she says the silver lining is she's not calling you horse anymore. Even though that was never the complaint in the first place, right? The complaint in the first place was she's not calling me Randall. And then to add insult to injury, she said the silver lining is she's not calling you horse anymore, Kevin. Just accepting and embracing Tiffany's seizure of naming of the guy, you know. So that's what makes Mindy Mindy's in on the whole thing with Guy Suit. Everybody else is a hapless participant. But of course, with Tiffany in the mix, lots of unexpected things happen. Whether they may be like in the know, but that doesn't mean they're in charge of everything that happens. And it's much to the surprise of everybody, not only that Mindy gets burned, but also that Tiffany has gotten herself lost in Egypt and is unable to identify where she is. Even when people start telling her it's Egypt, she's going to report that she's in Eastwood and that she's in Mexico, every they're gonna have a hard time until she hands the phone to somebody else, and they're able to determine that she's in Egypt. Then they'll go get her. Tiffany has a hard time with names of things. But she's a sweetheart, She's got a sweetheart. And I also will say this. Despite being how she is, which is very direct about her views, like, I mean, I gotta say, since Mom, by far the most high quality kids that we have are the ones you sent me. Kevin is super posable. Like, he turns his head, you can pose the shit out. They all are, and they're fantastic. It's great being able to pose them and stuff. And my mindset on the channel now is starting to shift to be more. If you've got to have a short that really pops, especially in the thumb department, in order to get decent views, then you've got to put a little bit more thought into the visuals of shit. And this is really the first time I've put a lot of thought into visuals of things. It's always about the joke. It's never about what it looks like, in my opinion. But with shorts, it's got to be both. And so, thank you for Sasquatch and Perry and Kevin and these soon to be. Well, I mean, I don't know if you saw it, but you can guess maybe what Brandon's waiting for at the mailbox to arrive. His backup plan in case he and Kendi don't work out. He's waiting for this to arrive. If you saw yesterday, I don't know, but he was sitting on top of a mailbox waiting for the mail to arrive. Mindy was there before her accident, and she was asking what he was up to. Well, because he doesn't really trust Kendi, and he's right to not trust Kendi, because I still have to do the part where Brandon and would I think an ENTP made that channel? Yeah, probably. But I'm not trying to be ENTP or anything. I think so, because if I watched enough of it, the way the individual engages with language is very consistent with the ENTP. That's an interesting question, though. I don't go through life thinking of myself as an ENTP at all. That's an NI kind of thing, you know? I go through my life thinking of myself as an Eric. Not even an Eric. I just think of myself as Eric. That guy. That guy I hang out with every day. All the day. All the time. One thing I like about Perry a lot is I like that his voice seemed immediately obvious to me. Or just the way he looks, it said to me, I'm Perry. Yeah. Tiffany, my name's Perry, not Fishman. He talks like that. He's kind of mad. I don't know, that it's like when a character just immediately, and Duck Girl too, her voice immediately just spoke what Tina Fey types ENTP and she says the number one rule of improv is yes and. But I hate that rule, right? There's no reason to deviate. There's no reason why no can't be just as good a launching spot as yes. Why? I love these oranges. No, you don't. Why would you lie about your flavor preferences? I know from years of experience you're actually a pineapple enthusiast. You got plenty of places to go from there, just as much as you do if you go yes and, you know? It's ridiculous. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. All of the ENTPs I know are actually play with toys and they don't keep it a secret. I gave voice to my apple juice box and happy face. Yeah, I don't I don't bother keeping it a secret. Maybe I would have at some point in my life, but not really. But that girl talks like this. Oh, but why do I have to stay up in the tree? Oh my god, you're a bird, that girl. Birds have to sleep in nests.
Birds do sleep in nests, Duck Girl.
There's another example of Mindy being sociopathic, right? Like, Duck Girl and Mindy come back from gathering firewood, and Tiffany's made a shelter, which means she's dug a hole, a little hole. And she goes, oh, you're going back. Come sit next to me, Monday. Share some almond milk. And Dark Girl goes, there's no place for me in the hole. And Tiffany's like, oh my god, I forgot about that chicken lady. Okay, let me think. And then, you know, she comes up with the fact that, oh, you didn't sleep on a nest. You're a bird, chicken lady. You gotta sleep up in the nest, in the tree, obviously. Well, birds do sleep in nests. Fucking Mindy, right? It's like, why would you what? I think Norm Macdonald was pretty funny some of the time, a lot of the time. You know, he developed over the years into excising some of his excesses and getting better. And, yeah, everything's a toy. They always want to play. I always want to play. I like to play a lot, but I don't always play. I do work too. Like, I'll get some work done today. I'm not really super worky minded particularly, but I'll get work done today anyway. I'm going to go back to bed pretty soon. But then when I get up later, I'll get some work done. I don't know how long is leftover steak from last night. Mmm. It's delicious, like the flavor of Korea. Mmm. No, I have no answer for that. It's a good observation. Call it FE instincts, I guess. I mean, it isn't much of a justification, but like, I mean, you didn't really. The answer is you didn't. If you think about maybe you did. I don't know. It's a good question. It's a fair question. I don't really have a good answer for you. Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of my style as well. I've noticed he likes to explain jokes afterwards, which I like to do as well. Seems like there's a separate layer of funny in the explaining of it. You want some steak trouble? That was probably the last thing on my list. This will probably bring this stream to a close. I need to get more sleep and a real get up time later. But originally I gave in. We gave up our pint. Here you go, Trouble. There you go, buddy. I guess I'd have to look at your answers back to back, side by side, I mean, and see if I could identify what it was that cued me as to the difference besides just my intuition. I'd probably be able to. It's not a bad idea to try that, maybe. Let's see if I can come up with notice something that's the definitive thing. You still can't quite come in trouble. So, if I didn't check your NE, that's just my bad. I should have. I just neglected to do it for some reason. Sometimes I get a little over enamored with how everything's lining up and forget to check all the different angles, I guess. Regardless, the last big news for local news here is Rachel and I have officially accepted that Trouble is also our cat now. His relentless, we think, we've shifted our type of him. I think he's ENFJ. It's consistent with his lack of self-upkeep. He's rather ratty. Doesn't clean himself that much. And also with his relentless love bombing of us. That cat is the most loving, wild tomcat that's never had a family before you'd ever imagine. He comes over, he rubs up against us, he takes pets, he wants pets. He wants to, and he immediately starts purring, and he loves us, you know. And he's been trying to force himself on us for such a long time now. And finally, last night I said, you know, he just wants a family to love him. And we both just, our shoulders slumped and said, okay, fine. He's our cat now, too. He's still not our number one cat, though, huh? Don't worry, Pee-Pee. He's not going to be really the same kind of cat as you. We have different rules for him. He's not allowed inside the house because we don't want to take him to the vet and get him all meowed out. We might have to eventually, but that's not our current plan. Oh, you still can't see Kitty. You know what I say? Karma, 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 chameleon. There's my cat. There's my cat. She just really doesn't like to be on camera, I guess. I don't know. There's not really any formula for making good art, but I would like to make a video about that. Cool. Okay, so now is the time that I call it a stream. Return to my bed, pursuing my dreams, and upon which I'll sleep until I awake later today and get up and bake. Okay, thanks for being here, everybody. I love you all with my emotional heart, and I want you to remember that for as long as you live. And thank you very much for the $2.18 that somebody gave me. I appreciate it. Very kind of you.